everyone. For people on Twitch and YouTube, Boxcast is having some brief difficulties. So I'm sorry about that, but good evening. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. Hello, everybody. Good to have you here. I'm here with the wonderful Christian Schmitz, who is the maker and creator of the Monkeybread plugin, which basically, if you don't have it, you really need it. It takes FileMaker to a whole other level. Last I heard, Christian was deciding what the 7,000th function was going to be. So if you're like, man, FileMaker can't do this, with Monkeybread plugin, it probably can. So we're here to talk about the 13.0 updates and the new functions he's added to the product, which is really fantastic. So if you'd like to look at the live training schedule, we do this 5 days a week. So for Monday, we have obviously the 13.0 updates. Tuesday is going to be manipulating dates and time frames with Claris. We're going to be finishing up that mini-series with Nick. That'll end on Wednesday. Thursday, I'll be creating, deleting, and duplicating related records. Next Monday is still kind of up in the air. Richard will be back. So we will see what he's going to be doing. Tuesday, we'll be continuing that series, and then Nick will finish that series on Wednesday. And then I believe we'll be hosting an open Q&A with him next week. So if you'd like to support the channel, you'd greatly appreciate it. We have our FM Training annual subscription bundles. We have 100+ hours of really high-energy video training content split across 3 subscription options, one with FileMaker, 2 that don't. Look at the 2, read them up, see which works for you. If you've already bought it, thank you very much. It helps keep the channel running. You should also really go and buy. There is a free version for download, which you can test out, but I really recommend you get the Monkeybread software. Right here, it's fantastic. It works on OS, Windows, and Linux, and it has a fantastic documentation. If you have questions, you can email Christian. He's really great about responding. So very quickly and with a thorough response. And if it doesn't exist, then it probably will at some point in the future, if he can get it to work. So with that being said, Christian, I know we have the 13.0 updates. What are we going to tackle first? What has come?
So, yeah, first I may ask for permissions. Yeah, I got them.
Yes, you should be able to share screen now, I think. There you go.
So, welcome to my screen where you see the website. And you can download the plugin right here, get the latest version. You can check the documentation on what's new. So here's the list, but let's go through a few of those points together. So let me just create a new database, a dummy. The first thing is we take a look at our preferences dialog, which you can go here in the preference menu from FileMaker, and then double-click the plugin entry or use the configure button here. So, and new in this dialog are a few more checkboxes. We can now play the game to identify what's new. I mean, if anyone remembers the old dialog. No. The first thing is we have here a few options. Let me just make a screenshot so I can keep it open while going through the items with you. So one of the new checkboxes is here, option click. That's an option we have in the plugin for some time, but not many people know it. So if you have a set variable or a set field script step, you may know that you can click here, and then this dialog opens, and then you click specify to go into the details of the calculation. I don't like to use 2 clicks, so I press down the option key on the keyboard, and then I jump right into the second dialog without a second click.
That's incredibly nifty.
It's a little thing, but it's so annoying too. And same here, set field, you click, and you have to click again. And if you just use the option key, I'm using the development version. I may have changed something. Okay. So it works for set variable now, and it should also work for set field. Feel free to use it in the release version, where I hope it works fine. Otherwise, let's go to the next option, which is code folding. So I hope I didn't break that today. So let's make here loop if else fill it with something. So, you know, like you may have a normal script. I mean, so if you see, I can click on the items and the plugin will highlight what belongs together, which is nice. But the code folding is also nice. So I can here click on the else to fold it. And we got a checkbox for that. And the checkbox is new because, of course, whenever I add something, someone will be annoyed and wants it removed. So we have a checkbox to turn it off.
Also, I didn't realize the highlight was also MBS. That seemed like something that shouldn't actually be in the product.
Yeah. So now the next thing we added is here, if I press the Option key, I can collapse the whole block. But if I don't press it, it will just collapse to the next else.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's a little option because, well, whenever I add something, someone will have a new idea. And so I got the Option key thing here to do it. So do you see any other checkbox which may be new?
People in Discord. I can play Jeopardy music, but I don't have a button for that yet. Y'all noticed anything?
Okay. So let me... So you might try all the options. There are a lot of great options there. So another thing we got a checkbox is here for the export dialog. So we have tooltips in debugger and tooltips in the export dialog. Let me show you the tooltips in the debugger first. So let's say I have a variable. It gets a value 1, 2, 3. I maybe set a field. Let's say I set here vendor to RCC. And now I run this in the debugger. So, and now I can move my mouse over test, and the plugin will read the variable name and figure out the current value. So you get a little tooltip there to say $test is a number, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I move over the field name, it will show me that it's text and it's currently empty. Probably because I don't have a record here, 0. Now I have a record. Let me run this again. Step. So, and now it shows me there's text and it's RCC. Okay, this is the tooltip in the debugger, which is very handy because you don't need to look in the data viewer. And now we have the export dialog here, export records. I say save, and I have here fields. Do you know which field is a global field? Do you know what's a calculation? What's a container?
No idea.
How would you know? Okay, you can move the mouse over it.
Oh,
the plugin will tell you.
Really? That's really cool.
So the plugin found price in the assets table. It's a normal field. Decimal is a data type we get reported via the SQL engine, so it's a number. And you are highlighting row 4 of 11, so you can actually see how many items are there and which number you got. So I can change here to a different table, and it should still work here.
That's so cool.
So, and this is an old feature. It has been there for a year or two. But because people don't see a checkbox, they don't notice the feature. So by adding the checkbox, I hope more people like it and find it.
Yeah, I think those are always helpful. People have to like, oh, what's this? I turn it on and it's like, oh, it's cool. We do have a quick question. I will ask from Lynn.
Yeah, Windows things are coming later.
Okay,
but
and I will ask that later.
I'm sorry, the tooltips are macOS only, because it's a macOS only feature. So let's see. Yeah, and new in the checkbox here is a checkbox for calculations separately from scripts. So some people like just the one feature, some like just the other feature. So you can independently switch them on and off.
Well, that's useful.
So for our context menu here, you see we have now here find in script with Command F and go to line with Command G shown in the menu. And that's again to tell you about this option and especially about the shortcut. So I can click it, of course. But usually I just type Command F, if, press return, jump to the line, press Command F, press return, press Command F. So I can just jump to all the lines where it's finding it, and this works nice. You can also press Command G, type in a number, press return, and jump to the line.
All incredibly useful. Hard to realize it's there if you're not paying attention, so that will be helpful for people.
Yeah, so by showing it in the menu, we hope more people see it. So I got that, we got that. So and now let's go to Windows. So in Windows, I'm sad we don't have the script workspace editions because, well, I can't get it to work. But we do have the search here in the relationship graph. So you see this little box here is quite new. So I can go and can type something like A, press return, and it jumps to the assets. So new in this version is that we got this to be a pop-up menu. So you can click the pop-up and it shows you your choices like on Mac. So I can say, oh, I have assignments. And now I can press return and it jumps to assignments. Now you may wonder what's if you have two of them. So let's make a second one. So I have to say, okay, I have to close the dialog because the plugin will only check the list here when I open the dialog. So now I have here assignments 2. Or let me just jump from assignment to assignment. So I can use Command F to jump in the box, press return, Command F, jump in the box. And I can also use Command G here to search again. No?
Finding your giant spider webs is easier now than ever before.
So when do, yeah. So add the data to the. Oh, we got a question about the data type in the column for the export dialog. Yeah, well, adding a column is a much bigger work than just adding a tooltip. So I decided to go with a tooltip. But I could certainly add the data type as a column. So let's see. Oh, and we got here our preference dialog because we only have so little things we can do on the Windows IDE. But we got here a checkbox where you can decide whether you want to have our search box. Because, you know, whenever I add something, someone will complain. And we got a checkbox.
How dare you add cool things to the product?
So, oh yeah, let's go pause and go back to
For your popover,
Mike.
we do have a quick question. What does it show if the value is in a list?
What was the question?
For your script text popover, what does it show if the value is a list?
Good question. Probably all the text in it. This was for the debugger or the export? No, the debugger. So you mean this should be a list?
No, I think he was saying that for like to hover over when you're importing stuff. Does that, what does a little popover text show if the value is a list? Like it shows container and number and text.
Yeah, we can just add here a few data types. Or we have a container, we have a number, a summary. Maybe someone can write a more detailed question. So you can just see export. again. And so let's see. Here we have normal and washer. Washer is in SQL for text field, so it's a normal text field. This is a binary, which is a container field. Normal washer, decimal. So, and normal date, there's a date field, and this is a washer. So I can look in the other tables. Do I have somewhere? So this is a timestamp, washer. So maybe I just add a global field, maybe. Make this one global. And then we add a formula, maybe a calculated value. Wait, yeah, calculation.
No, okay, so I got the question rephrased, so I misunderstood while reading it. I was asking about the popover in the script debugger. How does it show a list of values?
Okay, so let me first continue with this dialog. So we got a global field, and this shows normal global washer, so it's a global text field. And here it shows calculated decimal field, so this is a formula. Maybe I should just add a translation table for this text. Okay, let's go. A list. How would we get a list? You mean like this? 2, 3. So this would be a list of 4 values, I guess, maybe. And now if I go to the debugger, I would see the values in the tooltip. So
there you go, Lynn.
And now I wonder if I have a limit there to avoid showing you 10 gigabytes of data in the tooltip. I should write it down here. Tooltip, check limits. Well, you know, want to avoid FileMaker crashing by showing you too much data.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so next thing, I think we got all the checkboxes here. So let's take, if you download the plugins, you get a nice folder here with over 600 example databases.
Insane.
So there's a lot to learn, a lot to copy. And let's just open the one with the MongoDB and let's look for the changes in the database. So this is just a normal MongoDB example. You can do an insert and a few scripts here, so you can do a find and update. And new in this plugin version is a possibility for you to watch for changes. So Mongo watch, scroll down. So let's say watch a database. So this allows you to do basically an audit where you would initialize your client to say, watch the database. Then you can pass in some options, which could include the timestamp of the last record you got. So you could actually make sure you get all the changes. But for our example, we will just watch the changes I'm making here. So let's say we connect to the database, and let me just copy this. We open a database. So we have a database open with this connection on the MongoDB. So I first remember this connection in a global variable. And now I want to tell the plugin to watch. And for that, I will use here the watch database command. $mongo. The pipeline allows you to specify exactly what to watch for. Like you can have a couple of conditions and you may have options, but I just say everything, please. And let's show a dialog whether this worked. So let's run it. Okay, so we have now a permanent connection, open with a plugin, to my local MongoDB server. And it's watching the database named test. So the next, we will make a little script to check next change. So we want to ask for the next change here. The next change function gives us back a JSON with the last change. So let's code it. We get a JSON and we say $Mongo is our connection. And I can just show it in a next change, $JSON. So if someone on the server changed this database, I will get it, I will get noticed. And I can get this JSON back, which I think I put better in a global so we can inspect it later. So let me run it. There's no change, no dialog box. Oh, empty dialog. Okay. So let's make a change. So I just take this JSON and add it to the database. I got one record added. So let's check if we got a change. Oh yeah, we have a change.
Oh, that's really cool.
So whenever someone is making a change, you get a JSON like this. So what does it say? So first, there is a long ID for the operation. And the operation type is, in this case, insert. And there's a time stamp here for the time on this MongoDB cluster. And a wall time. And this is how the time you see on the clock on the wall. So this is for humans. Then we have, in this case, a full document, which gives us the whole record we just added here with hello world. And we got the internal ID of the record. We also got here which database it is, test, and the name of the table, also test. And this document got a new ID, which is the same as the record ID because, well, that's the document. So we got a change reported, and so you could write a FileMaker database sitting on one computer and just watching for all the changes and maybe trigger scripts to do some jobs if some table changes on the MongoDB. And all the people could use MongoDB functions. So let's try here. Let's say I make a little change. So MongoDB update one record. And let's see, the first one is a selector. So the first JSON defines which record to change. And I think I made here a record with hello world 123. So let's say 123. And this should get a new field with a value 123. So I just add a field to the record. Why not? So let's run this little script. And it said it modified one record. My selector matched one. So it found one record, it changed it, and there was no upserted record. Upserted would be a record inserted because it didn't yet exist. We have this option to say that MongoDB should update a record if it exists and insert one if it doesn't exist. So now let's change. Let's check for the change. And here is my change. So the new change log entry has here the operation type update. It shows the timestamp, the wall on the time on the wall, and which table, which database, which document, and a description of the update operation. And this includes which fields got updated. So we see other field is 1 to 3. There is no removed fields, and there is no truncated arrays. So if you have the need to audit your operations on a MongoDB, you can use our MBS plugin for this with FileMaker. And I think this is especially useful with having some kind of FileMaker robot using the MongoDB, so it can react on changes and trigger scripts based on things happening on the MongoDB.
Which is quite the cool combination of scripts you can execute if you happen to be using it. So,
Do we have questions about this?
Andy is typing. I'm going to let them finish typing.
I hope there's more than one person watching.
I mean, I'm watching. I don't know if I count. Well, we got 3 people typing now. So, well, the changes on FMB loaded asynchronous.
So, this watcher is a queue. So changes are collected, and with here the next change, we take one change at a time. So you can put this in a loop and run it with script pauses, and so you can have a script wait for changes, or you can check for changes every few minutes. And so this is collected asynchronously in the background. Yeah.
Okay.
Run it again.
Oh, only loop-based, not event-based. Cool. All right.
Yeah, but because it's a queue. So there's a problem with the plugin triggering scripts at FileMaker, and that's if the changes would come very quickly, we would maybe trigger hundreds of scripts per second, and you would have no chance to finish the scripts. So FileMaker would eventually be overworked. So we have to use a queue to make sure that you pick up the changes as soon as you can.
Interesting. This is done via Mongo client and not MongoDB.
Now, this is a feature of the MongoDB. With other databases, you would have to use our SQL functions and then make regularly queries there to ask the database server for changes, and that's database specific.
Got it.
And the key thing here is always you can use MBS plugin to connect FileMaker to a MongoDB today, and you can do a lot of wonderful things.
Kind of an unrelated question. Is there an FM file with all of the MB functions?
The MongoDB. Yeah, this one here, for example. So we have, in our examples, we got here an example for some things we made on the blog, for blog article, and we got this example. So you can try the 2 examples, just put in your URL for the Mongo database with all the optional passwords, and then connect to any MongoDB you like. So let's look on the connect command. No, set URI. Yeah. So you can put in a local host, of course. You can use a replica set if you like. You may have username, password. You may have other authentication things here. You may have a list of IPs, so you may have several servers which are synchronized, and we would try to connect to the next best server. You can also specify additional parameters here in the URL, like here, connection timeout. And it's very flexible. And it can also, of course, work with a MongoDB server in the cloud.
You already answered his question. Connection to a dataverse, excuse me. Can you?
Yeah, we have our own SSH tunnel function. So if you don't want to rely on something set up in the operating system, you can use the plugin to set up an SSH tunnel and connect through it. We have done it from MySQL before, and there's no reason it shouldn't work here too. So that's MongoDB.
I think you might have already answered. I'm gonna double check. David Angel asked if you can connect to the Dataverse, to Dataverse.
Okay, now the question is what's Dataverse? So if that is just a MongoDB server in the cloud, yeah, you can do that. There's also a
Microsoft Dataverse.
So, but is Dataverse, is that?
Build apps.
So, ODBC, do we have? Yeah, there's an ODBC driver available somewhere. So an API server. So not sure. I don't want to Google too much. So if you have anything which has a compatible MongoDB connector, you can of course connect with our plugin to this server with a MongoDB interface. If the server has an ODBC interface, you can also connect with our plugin to it using the SQL functions. And if it's just another web service, you can use the curl functions.
Cool. There you go. Hopefully that answers your question, David. All right. What's next?
So on the examples here, we recently had a live stream about using our curl functions for emails and using Office 365 to do the authentication for your Office for SMTP or IMAP. There's a recording for this live stream, but I just want to show you a little update here. So when we do the authentication, we ask for a scope. And here we have a little change. So we used, I think in the last live stream, to just ask for SMTP send permissions. This gives us a token which is valid for sending emails. But a lot of people also like to get emails from a mailbox. So you should add the IMAP access entry here. So the scope should include sending and receiving. And there's another thing, and this is offline access. Usually, if you do just this, you will get a token which is valid for something like 80 minutes. Then you can use it to send emails, and after 80 minutes, your token is invalid. If you add the offline access, you get a refresh token. The refresh token allows you to get a new token later to, again, send emails for a few minutes. So we added here offline access to the example, so we can get the refresh token. And when we extract the token from the JSON we get from the server, we can actually get the refresh token. And if you copy the script into your solution, please update it so you also get a refresh token. And if you like to refresh the token, we have this little script which does the work. So this script builds an URL to ask Microsoft's authentication server for the same scope to use our refresh token to get a new token. And so the script runs through. And if it works, we get a new JSON. And from this JSON, we can extract the new token and the new refresh token. And if you do the steps, you can actually refresh the token every few days when you send the next email. And this way, keep the tokens valid for, I think, over 90 days or maybe even longer. So you can enjoy sending email without using the web viewer all the time to log in. Also, if you use the web viewer to log in, we also got here a script to log you out by going to a special URL here, logout. So you can use a web viewer to actually log out of your account in the web viewer and then log into another account.
All useful.
I hope this update to this example is interesting for some people who need to send emails with Office 365 using SMTP or get emails using IMAP.
I think we have a few. So I remember that being a big discussion. So that's nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Any questions on Twitch or on YouTube?
No, you got like a couple like, oh, this is cool stuff comments, but not so much.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah.
pretty.
This may be a bit technically for a lot of people. So what else do we have? Let's see. Do you know the problem that you write a script in FileMaker and your application continues and eventually the system decides to go and sleep?
Yes.
So for that, we have process activity. Let me look, where is it? Is it here? Yeah, here it is. So there is process activity, begin activity, to inform the operation system that you're doing something important and maybe the system should not sleep or the display should not sleep. Yeah.
That's very nifty. Yeah.
That's I think that's the two main things here. And with version 13, we added Windows support. So finally, we can do something on Windows. Like you may just have a script starting with a line calling begin activity and then tell it to not sleep. And when the script finishes and the work is done, you can call here end activity and pass in the ID you got before. So we can end that activity. You can have several activities at the same time. Avoid sleeping.
Which is very nice. Causes all us problems right there. I actually didn't know you had so many curl examples. That will be super helpful. There you go.
Yeah, a lot of examples where you just copy what you need and modify it a little bit. What else you need? Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, we have JSON. Let's go a little bit JSON. You probably all love here our colorization. So if you have a JSON like this, let me just type something here. You can click update, and you see we have color. We got light color and we got some dark color, if you like.
Nice. I don't have to blow my eyes out when I'm doing things at night.
Yeah, so you have to tell the plugin which version you like, but you can have it colored. And also we got this JSON text function. So let me just change the definition here. So the idea with the text function is to get a text representation of the JSON, which is more than just having a few brackets and a few quotes removed, because you may have here something like Unicode encodings. And yeah, let me just produce that for you. So let's see, I may have MBS JSON create, let's say, a string, and we put in some text. What text could we put in? Let's go here and say we need an emoji, and we take an apple and put this apple here. And oh no, it just puts it in an apple. So let's say we have a \u 0641. Now what's the notation? JSON. What's the notation for Unicode here? Unicode JSON escape. So what's it?
Not something I know off the top of my head. Sorry.
So it says /\u, but I tried \u. Oh yeah, I need to make a valid JSON here. Yeah, you see, we already got the, oops. So I can have a Unicode character here. And with this Unicode notation, I can put whatever character I like in a inside a JSON, even if it can only be maybe sent as text. So I may encode any special character there. And if I'm curious, let's see. I take my apple here. What do I do with the apple? Let's say, no, encode hex. Encode the hex. So let's see, the apple has this code. So let me put it back here. Let me say this is Is it the wrong order? No, it's.
Are you supposed to split it?
Oops. F9. That's just the thing. I may just get it wrong with a byte order or so. Doesn't work. Okay. So technically, just whenever you try something which you didn't try before. Okay, let's say we have for two. So we have AB, AC, and now I just put in this JSON here. You would see that the text function would do more than just remove the brackets and the quotes. So it shows AB here.
Which is very cool. Don't have
Just
to
didn't work with the
make somebody
presentation.
comfortable.
Okay. But if you have any emojis or whatever encoded as hex characters here, you would also get that to work. Maybe it's an idea for an example I could make later for the documentation. So, no questions. So let's do something else. Let's say you like to do use the Vision framework from Apple for some text detection. And the new thing is that if we query the languages, we now use the newer functions from Apple, so we get more languages. So you can use Apple's functions to recognize text in a picture with not just US English, but also with French, Italian, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese. And that may help some people. It's also the same thing as FileMaker uses for live text, so you may also use the same languages there.
Is there any way to use a known set of graphics that have fixed usages with either Vision or ML?
So the Vision framework from Apple comes pre-filled with a couple of CoreML models. So you can actually look them up. So let's go System Library. Where was it? Frameworks, Vision. So here are the things used by Apple for all these detections. And one of them is maybe here something to detect what's the main object of a picture. So if you have a nice picture, you can just throw it in here, and then the plugin can use the Vision framework, which uses one of these CoreML models directly to recognize the picture. And the benefit here is that you actually don't need to bring your own model, which you could with our CoreML functions, but to use the thing built into the operation system. So let's just try with some other picture. Let's say I look for a line. Oh, that may be too small, but let's see. This is art, okay. Outdoor, okay. So machine learning can actually be quite stupid because it will just assign a probability to each thing it can detect, and then just tell you the most probable, the thing it thinks which is most likely to be the thing. So in case this is an animal with 0.97% confidence. So no, 97% confidence. It's also a mammal, feline, a lion. Oh, it actually knows it's a lion, but it's a little bit more confident it's an animal than a lion. So you can use the model built into macOS and iOS without bringing your own model. And that's the benefit of the Vision framework, as it makes things much easier.
that answer your question, Loonworks, by the way?
So if you have your own images and you can provide the truth for them, so you could say you have 1,000 images and you have tags on every image, you can use some tools on the command line, for example, with our shell functions to build a new model based on your 1,000 pictures. And then when you get a new picture, you can apply the model to the picture and it will again look for similarities and assign you which thing is most confident. And this way you can then use your existing pictures to classify new pictures.
Which is incredibly cool, by the way. Reference as to where to do that.
Create ML. So discover create ML thing, and you may want to look for a command line tool to do this and read a little bit about how things work. And also Apple has a list of sample models here, which you can use if you like to use with the CoreML features and the MBS plugin as well as FileMaker itself. The MBS plugin also can do text as input if you like. So you can, for example, put in some text into a model and know what the language is, or know what the mood is of someone. So you know if the customer is angry by reading the text. CoreML model collection. There was also a nice collection. Someone, yeah, maybe this here. Awesome CoreML models. So you have a long list here of models you could load. For example, here to detect the brand of a car, detect the sex or the age of a person, see if something is good for work or maybe not so good. Yeah, or here sentiment is something positive, negative, is something spam. I mean, you can use it for all different kinds of things, but just remember, it's only as good as the train data. So if there's an error in the training data, it will reproduce this error.
Okay, any questions, people? Where does Vision pull its data from?
So the Vision framework is on top of the CoreML framework and uses here this models included with the operation system. So the key thing is that Apple makes models for their own use, and you can use the same models as used on your computer in different applications. So this thing here to recognize the classification of an image may be the same model as being used in iPhoto or the Photos application. Not all models are compatible, so you may need to convert a model if you find it somewhere on the internet, because Apple has the model file type they defined, which is basically a wrapper for different models, and so some models have to be converted to this file type to be used. We also have machine learning functions for Windows. So the Windows people here, Windows ML. So we also have here functions for opening a model on Windows, which can also be very handy, and you can do similar things on Windows with those models. But Microsoft has a different format for the model. So usually, if you have a software to train a model, you would later say, export this model in one of the different formats, and then you would use this ONNX model format for Windows, and yeah, a different one for Mac. FileMaker on Windows doesn't do machine learning. You need to have the MBS plugin for machine learning on Windows. Okay. Yeah, let me just, I mean, extracting text works very well. So it's the same thing used by here, by the live text feature. So if I open the screenshot here, I can select the text, copy it, and that's the same code running here and to get the text. You can use that in FileMaker yourself if you like. Okay, let's say we have some more. We can do machine learning on Windows with the MBS plugin for some time now. Okay, next things I have is something for DynaPDF.
Always nifty.
So let's see, we have maybe an example to make some text. Yeah, let's take this one. And here the simple version. So let's see. We need, so this is an example script to just make this PDF with several ways to draw text, like just drawing some text, drawing color text, drawing invisible text, using some styles like underline, strikeout, then using here this feature to output text in a box. The box doesn't need to be visible, but you can still align text to have left justified, right align text. And so it shows various ways to output text. So if you have a font which doesn't have all the characters, so people may not know this, but let's take the font book here on Mac. You may have a font. Let's say this big one. Let's say the old gadget. No, this is. It actually have 459 glyphs. So it may have some characters, but not all. Like this. This font doesn't have Japanese text. So, but for example, let's take a different font. Here, Helvetica. Helvetica has 2,000 characters and still doesn't have Japanese here on the list. So let's go to Arial, here, Arial Unicode MS. This font actually has 50,000 characters. And so Japanese is included. Because for the Asian languages, like Chinese, Japanese, you need to have a lot of characters to include all the texts. So now, if you're a normal user, you would maybe say, okay, well, whatever, I have here some text in a field, I like to output it, and you load a font, and your font may not have the character. So we are coming to our little function here, test glyphs, which will actually check if a certain font contains a character you want to use. So let's see. I copy this text here. There's Tokyo written in Japanese. So let's put it in as text here. See what happens. Let's run it. And you see, oh, there are characters we can't print. So the printing stopped at that point, and the plugin returned an error. Let's put test behind it. So there are characters not supported by the current font. I can fix that by loading a different font here. Arial Unicode, oops, Unicode, I think that was the name. Run again, and you see there's Japanese text. And now we got a function to tell you whether the font is supported, and that's this new test glyphs function. And so I can here put in a dialog box, test glyphs. Oops, is that right? Oops, that's a little bit big. So $PDF, I need my text. Oh, let's copy it from the website. So, and run again. And it tells me it has found 6 characters which are not supported.
Well, that's cool. Nice little warning.
And you're not saying something about 6 instead of 3?
I assume I'm hiding beneath the thing that I wasn't seeing.
Okay. So we have 3 characters here, but these are Unicode characters, and they are probably represented as 2 bytes. So let me just show you. I copy the text again. We have a function to text, let's see, characters. So we have this characters function, which gives you the Unicode character numbers for all the characters. So we have 84 for the T, we have an O, 111, and K, Y, another O, a space, and now we have actually 3 characters here. So, no, 19. So why does it count as 2 for DynaPDF? That's a good question.
32 is the space, probably.
Yeah, 32 is a space. So this is 1, there's another one, there's another. Sorry. So, that's me 6. That's interesting, but so for some reason, in this font, we get 2 characters for every Japanese character. Okay. So if you have some text and you like to check whether the current font can print it, you have now a function for that. And of course, you can avoid it by using a font which has all the characters, like here, Arial Unicode. So another thing we got is the possibility to create a color space based on an ICC profile. So if you need to define some text or picture in a specific color space, you can use this function to load whatever profile you like from a file or from a container. There's other functions here with a container. And you can use this color space to write some text or convert a picture into this color space and place it on the page, or to draw some vector graphics. Now there comes the question, why would you want to do that? Well, because your client maybe told you that you should draw your text or draw your picture or your vector graphics with, for example, a CMYK color profile. So you can draw the text in exactly the color you want to output on the printer. Okay, most of you may not need that, but those people who want to make very specific PDFs with DynaPDF can do that.
Yes, which is awesome. We do have 2 questions, I think kind of related to previous things. The pop-up where MBS shows details for a field works on Windows.
No, sorry.
Can you perhaps use docs files with form fields and replace those within the script?
So let's see. There are a couple of people who like to use our Word file functions. So Word file, and there we have functions to, well, the older function was to replace a tag, and a tag would be basically a kind of placeholder in the Word document, and we would just replace the value of the placeholder. Then we got a newer function, which is basically substitute, replace any text you have in the Word file. Really, any description of a little chart of a spreadsheet in a Word document, any text that we can find, we can search and replace. And then if you use form fields in Word, we also got this function to set a field text. But that's very specific to form fields within a Word file. So we look for the field with the name here, and then put in the text. So I hope this answers the question.
I hope that answers your question, Andy. He's typing. So,
Okay, let's see, what else do we have new in this release? Or does any one of you have questions?
any questions?
Oh, then the curl library got WebSocket functions, and I played with them. So I made little examples like this one here to connect to a WebSocket with a server, and then maybe send some text there and get an answer. So if you have the need to use a WebSocket, you can now have a script connect, send data, receive data. Or there's a send function, there's a receive function. And yeah, if you have the need for using a WebSocket, you can use that with a plugin. Let me look what else is there for version 13. Oh, we have here, for example, a rich text function to copy rich text to the clipboard, which allows you to put style text on the clipboard in a script.
That's nice.
And if someone asks on the Windows side, let's see, we also have an RTF function here. So if you have some RTF text, even on Windows, you can put it on the clipboard, and also you can read from the clipboard. So you can, and I think we also have a few RTF text functions in the plugin.
We have a very specific MongoDB question. Just out of curiosity, is there a reason why you haven't implemented MongoDB event listener using a socket?
Well, because we are using the MongoDB client library to implement the functions, and it offers us this watch functions, and I just thought it might be a good addition. We also have in the plugin, of course, socket functions and curl functions, and so you can use whatever other service you like to do the same thing. With a lot of things in the plugin, we have more than one way to do it.
Well, this has been really awesome, Christian. Seriously, thank you very much. We had a full hour and 10 minutes of really cool MBS adjustments and changes. So people asking questions. And the 13-point release looks fantastic. Did you decide what your 7,000th function is going to be yet, or you're not sure?
Oh, we got a few new things, but we will do that on another live stream. So
that will be good. Yeah. If anyone has any last questions, now would be the time before I let Christian go enjoy the rest of his evening.
If you like to know what's number 7,000 was, we have this nice feature, continuity camera, where you can show into the picture with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
May you remember this? It's basically this thing here. Take picture. You say, make a picture with a phone, and then you make a picture on your phone, and it automatically inserts into your document. So I just made a screenshot with my iPhone. And we have that for the plugin, as you may know. And so just around the time when I was thinking about what could be function 7,000, someone asked it, could we have a function which tells us whether this is possible? So if you go to the layout where you would normally ask the user to take a picture with the iPhone, you can now actually go and ask the plugin whether this feature is available. So you could decide whether to enable or disable the button.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
It's just a little thing, but
little things like that. That's kind of what makes MBS so fantastic, is that you add all these little things people need. So really cool, actually. So congrats on 7,000. That's insane. We will definitely have a stream. I'd like Richard to be there for that one. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for Claris to announce where we can run the 7,000 functions party.
One of these days, they'll get around to it. All right. Thank you very much, Christian. I'm going to run the music, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. We always love having you on. Go buy this But at the very least, download the free version, then realize that the paid version is amazing and go buy it.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!